well, it's a form of gaslighting.
Mhm,
It's called
mhm.
parental alienation, which most people have not heard of, but it is millions and millions of Americans are actually victims of this. It's
Mhm.
where one parent deliberately sets out to manipulate the child or children and turn that child or children against the other parent. They may still be married or not.
Right.
Hello, and welcome to Story Power, a bi monthly podcast I created because I'm an unabashed story lover. Stories have had a huge impact on my life, starting with the family movie night discussions my parents instituted when I was a child. I want to share that love with you. As cognitive scientist Roger C. Shanks says, humans are not ideally set up to understand logic. They are ideally set up to understand stories. I'm making it my mission to not only spread the love of stories, but all the valuable things they teach us about human nature and relationships. We humans are emotional creatures, and stories help us examine our emotions from a comfortable distance. They also help us walk in the shoes of the characters to help us see the world in new ways. It's my hope you gain some valuable insights from my guests.
So, welcome, Story Power listeners and viewers on YouTube. And today I'm talking to Fran Hawthorne. This is the third time she has been on my show. And the first time we're recording it in 2025, but it's not going to air until 2026. But you can go back and listen to her episodes 83, which aired on September 3rd of 2023, and then episode 102, which aired on June 5th of 2024. And I think on each of those we talked about a book that you had written. So I have the list of books. I meant to tell you The Heirs. Her daughter is the one we're talking about today. And Fran, welcome to the show, and I'm hoping you're telling me that you're going to be writing another book.
Well, okay. First of all, thank you for having me on so often. I'm glad I'm not tiring you out or boring you. So as I was flashing before, so this is
Yeah.
the newest, Her Daughter, which
Yeah.
is coming out in January. By the time people hear it, it will already be out.
Oh, good. Yeah.
See my little marked pages of where little extracts that I'm going to read at book talks. And if I had, I should have taken a different copy without those.
Oh,
Um,
that's great.
and yes, so this is published in January 2026. And yes, indeed, I'm working on novel number 4. Well, wait, correction. I have published 3 novels as an adult, Her Daughter being number 3. I'm now working on number 4. However, it is not my 4th novel, since my first novel was probably written when I was around 4 years old. The first one I really remember was in elementary school. The first one I tried to publish was in middle school. It did not succeed. I don't know how many I've written.
What is wrong with those guys? I
Oh, you're
mean,
so sweet.
yeah, I mean, a middle school author, I would think that would be like, you could really sell those books to middle school kids.
Well,
I guess
uh,
they weren't thinking like that then. Hmm.
yeah, and that wasn't old enough to sign a contract. There was that issue too.
Oh, well, your parents could have signed for you, I
I know, I
suppose.
know. I think they didn't know I was doing it. I mailed it. Please, I had no idea what I was doing. I mailed it in, and I remember I had to get, the form said you have to have your signature verified by a notary public.
Right.
I had no idea what that was,
Right.
except I thought it was something called a nota republic. And I went to the bank, and then they said, "Yeah, but we need some proof that you are who you are." Oh, really? I mean, I was I was a middle school kid.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, right.
Anyway.
Wow. I read, I meant to tell you, I'm not sure I read The Air, but that was so long ago now that I can't really remember. But this one, thank you for sending me a proof copy because man, when I started writing, it was like, oh no, especially when Alice, when Dan had asked Alice to marry her, and then she was voicing her, well, I'm not sure we should get married, and he froze in the car, and I went, oh no, don't marry him, don't marry him, don't marry him.
Oh,
But yeah, because well, I'm going to refer to something else that I just started this year. My sister and I have a channel called Classic Cinema with the Sage Sisters, and the most recent movie that we talked about was Gaslight. And it was so interesting that your book and Gaslight, I was reading it while Gaslight was coming out. It was like, this goes with Gaslight, this story. Yeah, because he was just sort of like Charles Boyer in the movie. He was just terrible to her and her friends. The way he treated James, her friend, her good friend from high school. But the whole issue was she wanted a baby, he didn't want a baby. And I was glad that she had a baby.
well, first of all, thank you. I have to say, you have said what we novelists love to hear, which is you shouted to Alice, "Don't marry him." In other words, Alice, my character, was so real to you that you wanted to stop her from taking an action that you saw would be harmful, and she didn't see it. She didn't want to see it. Anyway, so thank you. I'm glad she was so real to you. Um, and yeah, um, I had actually not seen the movie Gaslight before I wrote the book. I had, of course, heard about it. I mean, the term has become a cliche.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah.
so indeed, I watched it. And of course, I wanted to grab Ingrid Bergman and say, get away. Um, but it was
Yes.
like, oh my God, Dan is doing that. My character, Dan, is doing what, yeah,
Mhm.
Charles Boy is doing. And and I felt, yes, it is exactly gaslighting, wherein, well, it's a form of gaslighting.
Mhm.
It's called
Mhm.
parental alienation, which most people have not heard of, but it is millions and millions of Americans are actually victims of this. It's
Mhm.
where one parent deliberately sets out to manipulate the child or children and turn that child or children against the other parent. They may still be married or not,
Right.
and usually starts when they're married, in fact. Um, and and it's so anyway, it's a form of gaslighting,
Right.
and most people in the general, of the 350 million Americans, most of them have not heard of this. Courts have not heard of it. It's becoming now an understood thing in family court that this is a phenomenon, but it's taken years. And it's just, I mean, if you can just imagine having your child parrot these things and you go, what universe is that? And,
Yes.
we're all taught, divorce or not, you don't badmouth the other parent. So how do you,
Right.
when the child says, well, daddy says you, and over and over, and usually it's the husband, father doing it to the mother,
Right.
wife. However, I have talked to many, many people, and there are people where the father man is the victim. So, um,
Mhm.
anyway, and it's you can just imagine, they don't realize we don't expect this from our
Right.
partner,
Right.
no matter how troubled our relationship with our partner may be. We are not set up to immediately suspect the people
Right.
close in our lives, like our partners,
Right.
to be
Right.
doing this. And the people who are most susceptible to having this done are generally people who don't have a strong sense of self-confidence, for example.
Mhm.
And so your partner says to you, why did you give our daughter that sandwich for lunch? Didn't you see that the bread was moldy? You go, I thought I checked, it wasn't moldy. And he says,
Mhm.
when she comes home and tells me her stomach hurt, and I say, well, it's the sandwich your mom made. and you're not ready to say, wait a second, that sandwich was fine. Why did you say that to her?
Right.
And I just made up that example right now. It's not in the book, but it's the kind of thing that is in the book.
Yes.
And it's the kind of thing people would tell me that
Right.
they went
Well, and the whole thing about uh her clothes are dirty and torn. So I had to buy her, this is a spoiler alert. I had to buy her a whole new wardrobe, and I'm deducting that from the uh
child
child
support thing.
support. And I thought, keep that note, give it to your lawyer. She doesn't. Uh,
Well, even so, how do you prove that the clothes were not dirty, right?
right.
Now, in a normal divorce, um, let's say one parent did provide clothes that were dirty. Okay, let's say I were the parent that didn't have the custody or whatever, and the child came to me and I saw the clothes were dirty. I'd roll my eyes. I'd wash them. I'd always have clothes anyway. I might or might not say something privately to the other one, like, did you know, maybe if it only happened once, I'd let it go. Normal
Right.
thing is not to send a legal sounding note, like
Mm,
that, right? It's Dan, the father, trying to
right.
set up a legal case for himself, first of all, trying to set up
Right.
an evidence trail. And
Right.
secondly, just pure harassment and gaslighting, because then Alice starts to say, oh, were the clothes? I don't know. Were they? So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Well, and there before she even got pregnant, I was like, oh no, no, don't don't force the pregnancy, because I think he was gaslighting her even then, continuing to tell her, I don't want children. We agreed not to have children. And I think he was forcing her to make a decision to uh, say that the diaphragm didn't work, that something happened to the diaphragm, and that's how come I got pregnant. And he knew that she wanted a child so bad, she was gonna make it, so she got pregnant. And I felt like he was gaslighting her all the way up to that. And then when they had the argument and he went away for the night, and then she went to the his clinic because he was a vet. I'm like, couldn't the animals tell he was a really horrible person? Uh
Well, I just have to stop you because, not to have, so you don't give away too many spoilers, but also, again, I love the fact, listen to that. Dan was so real to you. You started imagining what's going through his mind because what you said like that, you thought he was actually gaslighting. It doesn't say in the book that he was or wasn't. And I
right,
just
no.
love the fact that you have now taken him into you, and he is so real to you that you are now creating what might be his thought processes. And thank you, thank you. I'm not going to give away what his thought processes really were or weren't, but anyway, and then oh, and that's so fascinating. Well, the animals see, here's the thing often about these manipulative, controlling men. I mean, look, I'm generalizing because everyone's different, but often part of their ability to be manipulators and controllers
Mhm.
is they're not obvious.
Right.
And that's how people like Alice originally fall under their spell. And that is how Alice's mother and her friends, everybody who knows them,
And
doesn't
even his
understand why
mother.
she's complaining because
Yeah,
he's so charming and he
right,
is wonderful with animals. He's
right.
I try to show him in a scene with the dog, and he's
He-
good with animals, and there's a scene in the restaurant with Alice and Dan and James's girlfriend at the time. And he's so charming. And he's asking the girlfriend about growing up in Europe while Alice is kind of tongue-tied and jealous. And so people don't, is he two-faced? Is he a good actor? There's a lot, I mean, a lot of things you could speculate. But,
right.
and that's, and one thing I really wanted to do, this is not one of these old-fashioned, the villain twirling his mustache, putting Alice on the train tracks, right? I
Right,
really tried to make fully rounded,
right.
three-dimensional, four-dimensional people. So Dan is not wholly evil. Alice
Right.
has her faults. She
Yeah.
handled so many things so wrong. Now, how many of us have the presence of mind to do everything right, of course, and
Mhm.
Dad is a good vet. He does like animals, to give one example. Um, there are other ways. I tried to give him a kind of backstory, a history that maybe in part explains why he is who he is.
Mhm.
Like I said, I don't want to give it all away here.
Yeah.
But I tried to, and I tried to show scenes earlier in their marriage where, the reader has to, after all, say, after she finishes shaking Alice like you did, metaphorically shaking Alice, I mean, if the reader thinks that Dan is such a horrible person, why the heck did Alice marry him? Why did she stay with him? And so the reader has to understand what drew Alice to him,
Mhm.
why she stays, and part of the reason women in these situations stay, including women in horribly violent situations,
Mhm.
women stay. There are many reasons, but one is, um, well, after all, it's not, I did things wrong too, and he'll change, and it's just this one time, and look at all his good qualities. Those are among the reasons that women sometimes kid themselves. I mean, there are plenty of reasons that women say
Yeah,
lack of
and
money.
also her job is very demanding. So if her focus is on the job, her job, sometimes you don't, you don't focus on your relationships as much if you've got a really demanding job. And so, yeah, I could, once I got into it more, I could understand, I could see why she was staying with him, at least as long as she did. And the work that she did was so important because she's an environmentalist. She's trying to get companies to invest in green technologies and stuff. And so I could kind of understand it. And then at one point, I'm like, how did Fran get the idea for this book? So that's one of my questions. How did you get the idea for this book?
Well, it. Remember I said that there's like millions of people who go this. I like started meeting people who were telling me their stories,
Mhm.
and there are a number of novels written about violence in a marriage that focus on horrible, horrible violent abuse.
Mhm.
Um, I have not found any mainstream novel on this subject of where the partner deliberately sets out to manipulate the child away from the other parent.
Right.
I have not found a couple of self-published ones some years back, but nothing sort of in a mainstream, traditionally published novel. And mine is, traditional publisher. And I thought, this is just horrible that people are going through this. And what a plot and what a chance for characters.
Yeah.
And um, and then as I would tell people I was working on this, people would come come out of the woodwork, as it were. Um, I was on a board of a nonprofit for a while, and someone on the board said, "Oh my gosh, that's happening to me." I mean, and now that I'm out starting to give talks again, and I got a reviewer who wrote to me. I mean, it's just horrible, actually, how many people are going through this. So it just seemed like I couldn't believe that
Yeah.
nobody had, because this is such an opportunity for exploring many relationships. There's the partners,
Yes.
there's the mother-child, there's the father-child, there's, as I said, the friends and other family members who don't
Mm-hmm.
believe you.
Mm-hmm.
So many relationships, so many important relationships that
Mm-hmm.
get caught in so much lying,
Mm-hmm.
pretending, self-denial that's going on, willful ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
conscious ignorance, just so much to look at and
Well,
describe.
and this one's not a violent in terms, it's a psychologically violent, but it is not physically, there's no physical violence that I
Yes,
remember.
psychological violence, that's a great phrase. I have to copy that.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it's psychological violence is what she's going through. He doesn't beat her up, he doesn't hit her.
no,
So
I would I would say, again, not to have any spoilers. I mean, there is a scene, arguably, and I don't want to go any further, but yeah, I did want to emphasize the psychological because, as I said, there have been novels written about horribly
Mhm.
physical violence, and that's horrible. I mean, it's terrible thing to go through. But I also wanted, right, to emphasize that that's not the only form of abuse that can be painful, that can be dreadful, that
Yeah.
should not happen, and that it should not be dismissed. Oh, it's only words.
Right.
Words, pretty awful. I mean, can be. I work in words. I hope my words are not awful,
Yeah.
but
Right.
words can cause great damage.
Well, yes. And the other thing that I really liked about it in the end was she kept trying to figure out the incident that it starts the whole story. She's trying to figure out why her daughter might have done this, whatever it. I'm not going to
Well, it
spoil
starts, you
it.
can say this much because the first paragraph, she is told by her ex-husband that her daughter has been arrested. Now, first of all, we don't even know if we can believe it because it's the ex-husband
Right.
lies.
Well,
But
right.
yeah, but the point is, anyway, so she is just in this morass of, was she arrested? What for? Where? When?
Right.
Where is she now? Um, because we also know right off that the daughter hasn't spoken to her in 6 years. So I don't
Right.
think those are spoilers. We learn that pretty quickly. So imagine you have a
Right.
daughter whose father has totally turned her against you. She's refused any contact with you. And then you get a very brief email. She's been arrested. She doesn't want to talk to you.
Right. And I'm taking care of it.
Yeah, right. And you don't even know where to begin.
Right.
You don't even know if it was in the United States.
Right. So,
Um,
but that's the thing that I love is she goes on this journey of trying to find out why she was arrested, what happened, those 6 years that she wasn't in contact with her daughter. And I liked the way you ended it. I'm not going to say, I just like the way you ended the story because it was hopeful.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, it was I rewrote this book more times than I want to admit.
Yeah.
Um, and the ending, there were there was there were two other very, very different endings. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to find what felt right, being true to who these characters are, what they
Mm-hmm.
would rationally be expected to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to tie things up with a ribbon, and I didn't. Black ribbon or white ribbon, not happy, not bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't want to leave it as a total downer, that's true. But it's also, it's a fine line
Yeah.
to balance.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm glad it worked for you.
Yes.
I mean, it's funny. I've taken a lot of writing workshops, and I think people say it's funny we all think the first line or the first paragraph is so important, catching the reader's attention, and it is.
Mm-hmm.
But the end is what readers tend to remember.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty important too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unless it's an iconic line like it was the worst of times, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times,
Yeah,
or
right,
whatever it
right.
is.
Okay, yeah, there's that
But
one. Call me Ishmael. Yeah, mother
yeah,
died
right.
yesterday. I
Uh,
mean, yeah,
but
yeah.
I liked that you started it in I like this plot structure where you starting it in the middle. And then we get to see the backstory of how we got to where the book starts. And then we get to go forward. And I don't know why I'm just attracted to that plot structure, but I like that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, well, thank you again. That I always knew it was going to start where it starts.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But there she is in today, and she gets this email from her
mm-hmm,
ex-husband. And so there are two mysteries happening simultaneously. One, which is a mystery to her and even more of a mystery to the reader.
mm-hmm.
How did they get to this point where she hasn't been in contact with her daughter?
Right,
And secondly, now what?
right,
Okay, now she has an email. What do you do?
right.
How do you find out what the truth is for the future and how do you possibly find your daughter again. So two different, way for starting.
Right.
One's going backwards, one going forward. Um, and I know that it can be a little difficult for a reader, maybe, although I think we're all at this point used to multiple timelines. So I think
Mhm.
that's not revolutionary on my part. So yeah, but I felt like it had to start there. Originally, the book actually had 4 timelines. That was insane. And, yeah, I know. Look at your face.
Keeping track of them.
Oh, I had color-coded outline. Their timelines, A, B, C, and D, and each chapter was color-coded, to know which one. And you have to remember, in chapter 7, what does the reader know? And what does Alice know? 2 different things.
Right. Yes.
I know it all, but well, no, I don't know it all because, like probably every novelist, my characters take over many times, or my fingers take over, or whatever, and things come out on the keyboard that I wasn't planning. I wish it happened more often because I still have to do a lot of work of planning and coming up with things. But so I didn't know everything that was going to happen when I started. But
Right.
and it was like I would love to give an example. I can give well, there's a character called Bobby, and there are certain things about his past that I
Mhm.
didn't know when I created him.
Mhm.
And they
Mhm.
kind of evolved. And, oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, So that's just, a small example.
Yeah. And sometimes you need to know what his background is, and you give little hints, but you don't have to tell his whole backstory.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The book is 300 odd pages, 325 or something. Right.
Mhm.
And I didn't really want to write a 700-page novel where everybody has a backstory, though,
Right.
oh my gosh, I'm in awe of people who can, and people who can keep it clear and and there's a richness to that, but yeah,
Mhm.
I tried to make it more readable.
Mhm. Yeah. So that's coming out in January, and you'll probably will you be going on a book tour?
Well, I have some events already planned I'm very excited about.
Uh-huh.
We're still, because as I talk to you now, it's November, so still working on what I hope are more, and anybody listening, my pitch, I absolutely love talking to groups, book clubs, whatever. Can do it on Zoom, like I'm doing now. If I live in New York City, so, any place I can get to by public transportation within a reasonable amount of time, I can come in person. So I really, really do love talking to people because just like right now with you, and you said you thought that Dan was, was had this in mind as he was talking to Alice, and I just loved it. I love getting the feedback from you as to how you viewed Dan and
Mm-hmm.
how you wanted to get up and pull Alice away and all that. And the only way I can get it, of course, is by talking to people
Yeah.
book or want to read the book. So
Yeah.
that's my little
Or
pitch.
yeah, I hope if you're on other podcasts, I hope the podcasters read the book because I think that helps sell the book.
Mm. Um, yeah, I have to say I value the podcasters. This is my third novel that's been published, and I've got some other podcasts scheduled for this, and I've been in
Mhm.
lots of podcasts for the others. And honestly, if they didn't read the book, they sure did a good imitation of having read it. People, they would come up with good questions. They would come up, as you did, with
Mhm.
examples from the book. And yeah, I do think it's hard to interview someone if you haven't. Now,
Yeah.
the other side of it is it may be hard for you to not give away something.
Yes.
When you're interviewing. So it's, I suppose if you haven't read the book, that would be an interesting conversation because that would be like giving a talk at a bookstore
Mm-hmm.
where
Mm-hmm.
people mostly have not read the book and they hopefully are going to go buy it at
Oh,
that bookstore.
right. Oh, yeah.
And so then the questions are different, but they're good too,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
kinds of questions.
Yeah. So now this book is about to be published in a couple of months or a month and a half. And what are you working on now?
Well, I am working on novel number 4. I don't like to talk too much about novels in progress. I don't know, bad luck. Also, I want to focus, of course, on the one I'm writing. I mean, the
Mhm,
one that's
mhm.
coming out now, her daughter. Do I get to do this now? I can do this again, right? Yeah, her daughter.
Yes, do that again.
And anyway, but I finished the first draft and I finished the fact checking. So I spent a career as a reporter and editor, as a journalist,
Mhm.
and I am really nitpicking on fact checking. Oh, okay, I'll give you my favorite example from the fact checking for her daughter. So there's a scene, well, as you mentioned, so Alice is what she is she's an investment advisor who specializes in environmentally sustainable or green investing. Okay.
Mhm.
So she's trying to save forest, prevent paper companies from chopping down trees up in Northern California. The book is set totally in California. So there's a scene where she goes up to Humboldt County and takes some investors to visit the trees there. I had never been there, so I said, I better go, better know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
It's not easy to get to Humboldt County.
I know.
There's
Yeah.
At that time, there were 2 flights a day from San Francisco to the Arcata Eureka Airport and 1 from Vancouver. So I'm trying to keep this story short, but so I started in Los Angeles, caught the flight to San Francisco, got the flight to Arcata Eureka. It was delayed an hour by fog, which is apparently very common. Okay. Landed the car rental. There were 2 car rental places there. One of them closed for the day. Luckily, I had enough smarts to get my car from the 24-hour car rental. So I was cool, though there were plenty of people who didn't have cars. All right, I go, I get my hotel, blah, blah. I've mapped all this out. Gonna drive Route 101 to the highway that goes to this forest. I'm going to go up the windy road. I'm going to
Mhm.
stop at various points and walk around and get a feel for the place and take a little hike and have plenty of time to get to the airport to catch the last flight back to San Francisco, from
Mhm.
which I will catch my red-eye flight back home to New York. All set. So next morning I get in my car, drive, and I drive, and I drive, and I drive, and I'm not seeing the turnoff to the forest. This is strange. It's been long enough. I finally stopped for directions. Oh, me GPS brain here. I had turned the wrong way on the highway an hour and a half ago. I had gone south instead of north. Now I'm an hour and a half out of my way. I got to go back to my starting point, then go an hour north to the forest, then do the winding mountain road in the forest and stop and walk around, and then get to the airport and turn in my rental car. Well, there's kind of no way you're going to safely do this drive and accomplish it.
Mhm.
I could either just get to the forest, walk around for 3 seconds, and leave. Well, then what was the point of going all this way? Because I wouldn't get all the vivid details.
Right.
Or I could go to the forest, spend those couple hours that I planned, walk around, miss my flight. All right, book book the hotel or some hotel for another night, reschedule my flight to San Francisco, reschedule my flight home to New York. Which do you think I did?
Well, if it were me, I would have rescheduled everything.
Okay. Well, if you read chapter 17, I got some vivid details, but I did neither of those. I floored the gas pedal, zoomed up to the forest, zoomed up those windy roads. Do not do this, kids. You know, zoomed up, trying to dictate into my phone the scenes I'm seeing while kind of keeping an eye on the road. Luckily, there were no other cars. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Stopped in a few places, took rapid notes of what I was seeing. Did not get the long hike. Zoom back down. Missed the flight, but the flight to San Francisco was delayed by fog. So I did manage to get the delayed flight back to San Francisco. Got my flight home to New York. I know, I'm crazy. Now you'll never trust anything I write. But I obviously, well, I didn't get in any car accidents, really, really. Um, and I just spent the whole flight trying to transcribe and read all my incredible, scribbled notes. And, I don't know.
Well, well, and when she takes those guys up there, in a way, what you did is sort of part of that
Yeah.
scene. Yeah.
It is. I mean, right. Um, right. I did my imitation of a hike, and yeah. In fact, it's interesting is there are things that I saw on that trip, abbreviated though it was, that I didn't even put in the book because there just was no space to put them.
Mhm,
But yeah, that's kind of so. How did we get to that? Except the research that I did.
mhm, mhm.
I really, I mean, I walked all up and down the Santa Monica beaches and boardwalk and took notes. And there's a drive that Esme and Alice take along the coast of California. And it's a different trip. And I did that drive and I had lunch at the Madonna Inn, which is just a unique place. And, yeah, so I really had
Yeah.
fun researching. Also, I had lived in California. We moved there when I was in fifth grade and I
Oh,
went to college there. So also I have friends and family I got to visit in my
yeah.
research.
That's
That was
cool. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think people don't realize what a big state California is. And last summer, my husband and I drove up to Washington. My niece was graduating from the University of Washington in the Seattle area, and so we decided to do some sightseeing that we normally don't do. Usually, we zoom up there and we zoom back to Arizona. And so we decided we wanted to go to the Gold Rush
oh,
part of California, which is in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And we were going to a specific town, Nevada City. It took us forever because you're going on county roads. So you go on this county road for this bit, and then you go on this county road for this bit, and then you go on this, so it's like different numbers, and it took us quite a while to get to Nevada City from, oh, where did we start from? I can't remember. Anyway, it took us quite a while to get there. And so I totally understand that whole trying to get to the forest up in Humboldt County because it's,
oh,
it's it's not freeway.
right. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the tour of California that I did, and I really enjoyed the chance to put these details into the book. I mean, I walked all over the campus of University of California at Santa Barbara, where
Mm-hmm,
Esme
mm-hmm.
goes, and I just enjoyed taking the notes and then being able to have them to put in the book and be able to
Yes.
describe it. And I'm hoping that people who maybe have gone to school there or taught there or live near there would enjoy seeing
Yeah.
and would hopefully say, she got that right. You know, Find
Yes.
any mistakes? Okay, let me know.
Yeah.
There are chances to make corrections. I do want to, I mean, I hope I, got things right. I did, yes, I took copious notes, did tours of
Yeah.
all kind of Hearst Castle and the mission, Spanish mission in Santa Barbara
Yes.
and IHOP. Indeed, I went to IHOP to make sure I got the colors right of the booths. Telling you, I'm a nitpicking journalist. Um, so
Well, yeah. I mean, I've never been to Hearst Castle, but I have read a lot about it and who the architect was and all this stuff. But yeah, just the fact that Alice has an apartment that she stays in that apartment for years because it's close to the beach and she loves the beach. I loved that.
oh,
She stayed in
yeah.
that apartment even when there were bad memories, but it was close to the beach and she had this fondness for the beach, and that was sort of her, I gotta walk on the beach so I can feel better. Sometimes she has that. And we all have those kinds of things like bicycling or I read fantasy novels and sometimes the people will, train with the sword or something, they'll do training to clear their head. It just yeah, it just depends. We all have something that we do to clear our heads and our emotions, and for her the beach
Oh,
was it.
hopefully, yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's running. And Also, sometimes I come up with my quote brilliant ideas while I'm running, not intentionally. Um, just I'm maybe mulling over the book, maybe not, but yeah. And I need it. I wake up in the morning, many mornings. Okay, especially I live in New York now. You were commenting on my sweatshirt and all, and it's cold, and I go, I don't want to run in this weather, but I get out and I need it. My body needs it, and my mind needs it. So I'm so grateful
Mm-hmm.
that I have my body still lets me do it. And yeah, for Alice, it's walking. It's the difficulty of walking on the sand. It's
I
not solid,
know.
and
Yeah.
it's the waves coming in. And it's something that she shared with her daughter when her daughter
Mm-hmm.
was little. She
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know if she shares it anymore, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we used to live in Portland and you could go to Cannon Beach in a couple of hours or maybe an hour and a half. And so sometimes we'd go there for a day or the day trip, and walk on the beach. And sand that is wet is easier to walk on than sand that's dry.
Oh yeah, this
And
closer to the water line. It's smoother and flatter. Yeah,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. And
it's a challenge.
people who don't walk on the beach don't know that. Yeah.
Well, there is the risk that the water will come and, lap and get your shoes and socks wet, bottom of your slacks, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Well, we would walk barefoot if we could. Although it's pretty cold on the Oregon coast.
yeah, this
The
time of year.
water's Well, even in the summertime, the water's pretty cold. I guess the warm water comes up in the fall from Mexico. Um,
Oh, oh.
yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, my in-laws used to live in the Bay Area, and yeah, that whole fog thing. It would be foggy in the morning, and then the sun would burn it off.
Oh. Well, I just, I knew about the flight delay by fog because it happened to me. Well, oh,
Mhm.
that's right. I already said that. Yeah. So and that was maybe a 4 o'clock flight
Mhm.
each time. It was evening flight. So,
What time of year was it?
it was, like summer. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, what can I say? Maybe it was just that day, except that I remember
It's
the
foggy a
outgoing
lot.
from San Francisco to Eureka. It was like the ticket clerks at the desk were, yeah, delayed by fog happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, that's why I was so glad it happened on the return flight anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, there was no question. I'd gone all the way there. I was not going to turn right around and go home. I
Yeah.
would, I didn't want to have to, because once you reschedule everything, then what you were planning to do back home tomorrow has to get changed. And
Mm-hmm.
there's no guarantee there would be a hotel room
Right.
available, probably. And it was not a 24-hour airport. It's not as though I could have just sat in the airport. It's a little tiny airport.
Oh,
Uh,
right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Eureka's not a very large town.
yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's just, man, it lucked. I
Yeah.
lucked out. Um, I was crazy, but
The
that's what
serendipity.
novelists have to be. We are crazy to just write a novel to begin with, aren't we? So,
Mhm. Yeah, we are. Yeah, but my sequel to my first novel is off with beta readers, and I'm like, well, how long is it going to take them to get back to me? But
that's right. That's how we got into the fact checking that on the novel number 4 that I'm writing now. I finished the fact checking, which for me is an incredibly thorough process.
yeah.
And now I was on the next round of revisions, chapter 10 out of 30, but I have not been able to touch it in a couple of months because I am gratefully very busy with things with her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Gratefully arranging podcasts as with you,
Mm-hmm.
writing blog posts, auditioning readers for the Hopeful audiobook, just so many things that you don't even think about and things that
I know.
take 5 times longer than you thought they would take, and
Yeah.
posting on social media. And so anyway, but I'm hoping actually that tomorrow I may have some free time. But then the other thing is my mind is so deeply engrossed with Alice and Dan and Esme and Alice's friend Roz and Alice's mother. And it's not, you can't just switch to the other book where I'm deeply
I know.
engrossed with those characters.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, while my book is off being read by beta readers, I started a memoir, which I actually quit teaching to write a memoir in 2008, 2008. And that wasn't time to write that. And so, but now I've got something that I'm working on, but I'll have to stop working on the memoir when I get the comments back and have to. Yeah, and this time, instead of independently publishing, we're going to look at maybe like a hybrid publisher, because my husband is, even though he's retired, he's really busy, and it just takes so much time to do
Yeah.
all the work. I mean, he probably will create my cover for me like he did the first one, and any maps if I need them and stuff like that, because his career was a graphic artist. So, but I want editors. I want editors to look at it this time, because he and I and somebody else kind of edited it, but it just takes so much time to edit it. I want somebody else to do it instead of me having to do it.
And I'm very grateful that I've had two different publishers, traditional publishers, publish my novels. First two were with the University Press in Texas, and this one is with a larger small press called Black Rose Writing. And I didn't want to be doing things like filing for an ISBN number or
I know.
copyright or, that stuff I'm sure takes time.
Oh
I
yeah,
I don't trust, I'm not a visual person. I don't trust myself to design the cover. I mean,
right.
Black Rose is really wonderful in the sense that they said, what ideas do you have? What are some covers that you think that other books have that you think
Hmm.
would be good for you? And so I gave them some ideas, and then they came back with two covers and asked me which I preferred. So I had input, but I didn't have to design from scratch.
Right. Yeah.
All that stuff,
Yeah.
typesetting, what typeface should we use? I don't know, and you guys, who do the independent publishing, you have to make all those decisions and do all that research.
Yep.
And I am so grateful that I didn't have
You don't
to.
have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
hopefully I can spend that time writing the next novel and the one after that. And,
Right.
so,
Yeah. It must be getting dark there. Can you turn on your light for
of
a little
course, I
bit for
was
me?
wondering if I should. Yeah, it
Oh,
is.
there, that's better.
Sorry, now you're going to have to retape. You don't have to redo this. Okay.
Nah, I won't. I'll just make a comment at the beginning.
Yeah,
Um,
but
so do you have anything else you want to say before we go?
well, I guess I want to, of course, thank you for inviting me again. Of course, hope people, okay, I should do this. I'm sorry about the marketing, but I hope people will read Her Daughter
That's a
by
cool
Fran
cover.
Hawthorne.
I like the cover.
Oh, thank you. Okay, why do you like the cover? We were talking about covers. Why do you like it?
Because one of the things I like is both the daughter and the mother are there, but when you read the book, you know why they're standing where they are.
Thank you. Wonderful. Yeah, so I would also say if anyone is wonderful enough to read the book, I love to know what you think. What you like, what you didn't like. I have a website, hawthornewriter.com. So it's my name, then
Mm-hmm.
WRIT. Honestly, reach out to me. Let me know what you think, even if you hate it, because I learned from that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, without trying to pitch too much, but I really, and I appreciate your questions and that helping me think about things
Well,
and
I just want to say, read this book because it's a great example of the kind of people you want to stay away from.
yeah. Oh, I guess I would say this too. Honestly, if you're in any kind of abusive relationship, it is not your fault. You're
Right.
not perfect, but it's the person who
Right.
does the abuse. It's that person's fault, not the one who doesn't fight back. And so,
Right.
really important. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think sometimes sensitive, empathetic people, they're preyed upon.
Yeah, because anybody who is sensitive, empathetic is going to be someone who questions things, questions themselves, questions why are things this way. Someone who thinks, and thinking and questioning and self-doubt leave you open to people who are bullies.
Yeah.
And boy, I wish I knew how to stand up to bullies. I wish I could give that kind of advice, except just to say that, if someone is criticizing you, just think hard. So criticism may indeed be valid. Like I said, we're not perfect, but look at where they're coming from, and is it coming from love and caring and wanting to make you happier? Or is it just coming from they have to puff up themselves, and so
Yeah,
anyway.
right. Oh, Fran, thank you so much for being my guest again. And maybe we'll do it again when you have your fourth book out.
Oh, thank you so much. And lots of luck on your next book too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping to get it back soon. And because I'll have to probably make a whole bunch of changes. But yeah,
It only gets better,
yeah, right. I kind of like that process actually.
Oh, yeah. The revisions are so much easier than the first draft. So
Mm,
anyway, you're past the worst of it. So
right, yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much.
thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
I hope you not only enjoyed this episode, but gained something valuable to take away with you. If you like what you heard, please share it with your friends and give us a rating and/or review. If you're a story lover too, I invite you to join my Patreon community at patreon.com/storypower, all one word. Or you might be interested in classic cinema with the Sage Sisters, a YouTube channel and Facebook page I started with my sister Celeste, where we choose one classic movie that we think still has lessons for us today. As you can see, I'm passionate about spreading the love of stories and completely believe what Philip Pullman said. After nourishment, shelter, and companionship, stories are the thing we need most in the world. Until next time, this is Lucinda Sage-Midgorden. Thanks for listening.